What's up and welcome back to the Gridiron with Chance Aspen. Make sure you subscribe down below, like this video, comment. Now, enjoy this video. Alright, welcome back to week 16 of my 5 NFL thoughts. If you don't know by now, I give you 5 NFL thoughts every single week, and this is week 16. Let's get into it. Thought number 1. CJ Stroud has regressed a little bit this year. Now, I don't mean he's taken a nosedive and he's turned into a bust or he's played terrible. No, he's played okay, but he hasn't played like the guy that we saw last year. He hasn't played like the guy we saw have probably the best rookie season we've seen ever. Last year, he looked like he was on pace to be a top 5 guy this year, and it just hasn't panned out like that. Now, he's had injuries, and his O-line hasn't been great. But if you're going to be one of those top 5 guys, you need to be able to overcome that kind of stuff. But he just hasn't been able to. I'm not calling CJ Stroud a bust. I love CJ Stroud. But what I am saying is he's not as good as he was last year. He's not the playmaker he was last year. He's not playing at the level he was last year. And so he's regressed a little bit. He's gone down. I don't think he's even near a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. Not even close. And that's okay. But you do have to accept that he has regressed. He is not the same player as he was last year. Now, can he return to that? Maybe. But we were talking about Bryce Young a couple weeks ago, and that gap has closed a little bit. Last year, it looked wide as the Grand Canyon. But now, between Bryce and CJ, now you would still take CJ because of what he showed you last year. And Bryce Young hasn't showed you that level of production yet, even though he's playing better. But what I would say is that gap has closed. CJ is not the player he was last year. He does not look like the player he was last year. And he needs to return to that form if he wants to be known as like a top 5 guy in the NFL. Thought number 2. The Cincinnati Bengals are still alive. To be honest with you, I can't believe it. They were sitting at 4-8. It looked hopeless. It looked like they didn't stand a chance in hell to make the playoffs. And now they're right there. Now they do need help. They need the Colts to lose one more time. They need Miami to lose. And they need Denver to lose twice. And they need to win out. So they do need a lot of help. But what I will say is this: if this team makes the playoffs, it's going to be the most dangerous team in the NFL. Because the last team you want to see is a team that can legit put 30 on you on any defense in the NFL. And that's what the Bengals can do. Joe Burrow is playing as good as anybody in the NFL. Now, I know he's not up for the MVP, but that's because of the record, not because of what he's doing. I truly believe he's playing as good as any player in the National Football League. So is Jamar Chase. When you have those 2 guys on your offense and you could score 30 on anybody, you're a dangerous football team. I promise you, Buffalo rather see the Denver Broncos over Cincinnati, just based on the fact of what Cincinnati's offense can do. Now, their defense isn't great. Their defense is still awful. It's still not even a top average defense. But their offense is elite. It's one of the best offenses in the NFL. And it's not a team you want to see come playoff time. Thought number 3. The Cleveland Browns need to find a quarterback. That's it. The Cleveland Browns, if they have a quarterback, they are a legit Super Bowl contender. Because if you look at a lot of positions on their football team, if you look at the coach, they have it all. It all. They have the talent. Their defense is really good. It's gone down a little bit this year, but I think that more has to do with what the offense is doing, not what the defense has become. The defense is still elite. When you have a player like Myles Garrett, you are still a great defense. But they don't have the quarterback on offense, so they can't score with anybody. They struggle to score. If they have to score 20 plus, they're going to lose because they can't. The Cleveland Browns this offseason need to find a quarterback, and a legit quarterback. Whether it's Kirk Cousins, hopefully he can return to the guy that we saw in Minnesota. If they go out and pair him with Kevin Stefanski, or they draft a quarterback in the draft, they need a quarterback because this roster is talented. This roster does have talent. Cleveland is a good football team. There's a good football team in there. We saw it last year. I know they lost in the first round of the playoffs, but we saw it all of last year. There's a good football team in there. But what they don't have is the most important position in football, and that's the quarterback. Deshaun Watson has been a total letdown for the Cleveland Browns. You paid him all that money, and he's been awful. And now he's going to have to come off the Achilles injuries, and he's going to return? I don't think so. I would be shocked if Deshaun Watson returned to the Cleveland Browns. They either got to draft a guy in the first round of the draft, they're going to have a high draft pick, or they need to reunite Kevin Stefanski with Kirk Cousins. One of those options has to be it. Thought number 4. The Seattle Seahawks are a quarterback away from becoming a real Super Bowl contender. And this isn't to trash on Geno Smith, because I actually think Geno Smith is a really good football player. Like, wholeheartedly, I think he is a really good football player. But if you look at Seattle's roster, they got a lot of things. They got a lot of talent on that roster. But they don't have that quarterback to elevate everybody. They don't have that quarterback to take everything over the top. When a play isn't there to be made, but the quarterback goes and makes it. They don't have that guy at quarterback. I think Geno Smith is a very good quarterback. But if you want to win a Super Bowl now, you need a top-flight quarterback, and that's not what Geno Smith is. You need a guy, when the play isn't there, that quarterback goes and makes the play. That's what you need at quarterback now. And Geno Smith just isn't that guy. Because if you look at this Seattle Seahawks' roster, it's got a lot of good on it. Receiver, running backs, O-line's good, secondary's good. Still need some work at the linebackers and the D-line. But overall, it is a really good roster. But their quarterback just is not a guy that is going to elevate this team and take this team over the top to become a real, I'm talking legit Super Bowl contender. Geno Smith is just not that guy. He's a very good quarterback. I don't want to trash on Geno. He's a very good quarterback. But if Seattle wants to win a Super Bowl again and return to the top of the mountain, they're going to need to find a legit game changer at quarterback. Because Mike Macdonald's a hell of a coach. He's going to coach this defense. This defense is going to be good for a long time. But if they want to get back to what they were in 2013, 2014, and get back to the top of the mountain, I think you got to move on from Geno Smith. My 5th and final thought here in Week 16, here it is. Thought number 5. The Raiders won against the Jaguars, but they didn't really win. What are the Raiders doing? You're going to have a really good chance to win the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, and you beat the Jaguars. And I get it. Look, the name of the game is to win. But when you're that bad, when you don't even have a remote chance at making the playoffs, and you still try and win, now obviously they're professionals. The players are always going to try and win. But you couldn't win those other games during the season. You now win a game. You now win when we want to lose. I just thought it was the funniest thing in the world. Because most Raider fans didn't want to win. Probably the front office didn't want to win. The ownership didn't want to win. But the players did. And they went out and won and probably screwed their chances of getting the number 1 pick. But that's my NFL thoughts. Again, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, comment, and have an awesome day.